Welcome to the Local Yokels Podcast. We're bringing you stories today about DeSoto County businesses and nonprofits. We're trying to dive deep into their journeys, what they're trying to accomplish, the purpose of it, and the impacts. We want to get ready to discover our hometown gems right here in our backyard. So today I'm working with Derrick Michaud, who is the owner and producer, manager, guru of SRP Studios.
Man, I got to give you kudos right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You nailed my last name as far as pronouncing it.
Oh, did I?
You nailed it.
That's awesome.
Michaud.
Yeah. I think
people
that,
do not know how to pronounce my last
even
name.
Coach was mispronounced my last name.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, dang it. He's known me that long. And so anyway, it's spelled weird. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of conversations about this, I'm sure.
Michaud. It's French. I'm from Maine. It's a French name.
Yeah, you look French. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But
There's
anyway,
a lot of French swear words.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
French. But anyway.
This is cool. Thanks for doing this. Mm-hmm. And you have been tossed into the host seat for the very first time here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we're going to use this opportunity to talk about my business, but also talk about this podcast and your mission behind it. Yeah,
it's the first one. Of course, I guess a little bit of inspiration came from you and especially Coach coming back from the podcast I did with y'all for my Feed My Lambs program that I'm involved in. And I just kind of seen the reach and the impact. And I love the idea of trying to promote others, businesses, nonprofits, whatever it is, locally, you know. So and I think the day that we had it, I was just like this little light. I was like, I need to get in touch with Derrick here later when I get a little more time after things settle down. So that's what I did. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I really appreciate it. So we're here today, give me a little backstory on how you got started here with the studios and what got you into Hernando originally and what your goal is and focus, on going forward.
So it all starts in 2018. Yeah. What people might not know is I am a musician, a working musician. Right now I'm not, but I used to be a heavily working musician. But part of the deal is, yes, you're a working musician making some money, but you need about 5 other hustles to make
pizza delivery guy,
Uber driver, Lyft.
Yeah.
I hosted trivia nights, did all kinds of different side hustles. And then I discovered Upwork.com, which is a gig economy type of website where entrepreneurs are connected to potential clients that match a need and a service. So it's great for like graphic designers, social media managers, virtual assistants. And I found a need for podcast editing.
Okay.
And I know my way around, audio editing. So I'm like, oh, okay. Let me try to dive into this and try to get a client.
Yeah.
And after a few months, I finally nailed one. And that was January of 2018. And that became my new hustle.
Wow.
That became my priority hustle, and worked it to the bone, to the point where in 2019, I scaled up, started an LLC, hired an editor.
Right.
I wanted to scale up. I couldn't do all the editing. I've got a good amount of clients now, so let's hire someone to scale up. And every year was better than the one before. 2020, oddly, it was a great year for me.
Sure.
Everyone was home with nothing to do and some money to do it with, So,
and wanted to get into podcasting or something.
Yeah, a lot of people had these ideas, and they finally had the time to try it.
Yeah.
But there was also a lot of businesses now having to communicate through Zoom.
Right.
So they started, leveraging that and utilizing that for podcast content, and podcasting really started becoming more known entertainment-wise.
Sure.
A lot of podcast ratings blew up for like the stand-up comedians.
Right.
But businesses really saw it as a way to connect with their staff or their organization.
Sure.
So it became more well-known, prevalent, and started to be looked at as a good marketing tool.
Right.
2021, I still had a better year than 2020, but that was when I started feeling the backlash, because now people had to go back to work.
Right.
So it was kind of flip around for me. But regardless, so while building this thing, I moved to Hernando in 2021 because I loved it here.
Where did you move from?
At that point, I was in Central Gardens area, Midtown Memphis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally got down here. I always loved Hernando. I used to play at a church down here. I'm a bass player specifically, and I was in the house church band over on Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
Starting in 2016. So I was coming down here every week.
So you're familiar with the area.
Yeah, and I always loved it. And I always wanted to move down here. And
it's a great town.
I couldn't afford it.
Right.
Well, proudly, my business got to a point where I could.
Yeah.
And I have full custody of my daughter, so school was important.
Right.
You know, I ended up getting full custody, so I'm like, I got to get to Hernando.
Right.
Made it happen.
Right.
So moved in the summer of 2021. That's how I got here. But that also connects to a big part of my business, and the podcast is called The Real Hernando. I own a podcast called The Real Hernando that I started as a way to connect with the community and introduce myself as a business owner.
Sure.
I didn't at the time have a studio or any kind of brick and mortar, but I'm in town. This is what I offer. This is what I can do. And much like you're going to be doing with this podcast, it was designed to spotlight Hernando and businesses and nonprofits and everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a studio, so I would go to their location with little wireless mics and one camera. It was very organic. But it worked. It put me on the map. People started to get to know me, started getting very involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and to the point where they invited me on the board. So I was on the board for a little while.
Right.
As all this momentum is building and my business was building, I decided, let's go to that next step and open up a studio.
It takes a lot of guts.
Yeah. And after 2.5 years of having a studio, I learned a lot. And we are moving.
Yeah.
If we would have had this conversation 3 weeks ago, it'd be sad and somber because I'd be losing my studio.
Yeah.
But it's not that anymore. I'm just moving to a different location, which is really nice. Yeah. I found another spot that is more affordable and is going to keep me in the game.
Right. And I guess trying to find other people to get more involved in podcasting and helping you keep this thing alive, because I think it's critically important to the community, especially, I guess, with Hernando. A lot of people don't maybe know this as we're talking, but the studio is in Hernando. Yep. And beautiful town, great people. I don't live in Hernando, but I live in DeSoto County, but I work in the area. I got a lot of friends, people I know here. I eat a lot down here. I don't know if that makes sense, but everywhere we can go, but they have some great restaurants and stuff around here. So I get it. It's the bravery of opening up something new, jumping off something new, kind of what I'm doing now, but it's not a business related thing for me. I'm not trying to, make a living from it. It's simply just trying to help others. So, but for you, it is your livelihood at this point. So, part of why I want to get involved, I want to help you as well. And I want to see this thing succeed because I think it's really important to the community. Coach Camp, who probably, I think we talked about this on the podcast we did with him a couple of months back, was I was with him like the day he prior to him like getting off into the podcasting and motivational speaking, which he is amazing at. He had told me, I think you probably remember in that podcast where I'd said that, I'm like, what have you been up to, Chris? He's like, I don't know, man. I've been kind of thinking about just doing this, and I've been putting up videos, putting it on my garbage can and filming myself, messages. And I was like, wow. And later on when I see him start doing it, I'm like, wow, like really wow, like he really did something. So, and then I seen the reach he had with the things that he's involved with. And I didn't really at that time have an idea that like, where's he doing this? I wasn't questioning that, like studio wise or any of that stuff, or if it was being produced. I mean, when you see something, you don't think about how it all kind of gets there. So I really didn't think a lot about it until probably about 8 or 9 months ago. I reached out to him and told him about our Feed My Lambs program and if he would be interested in helping me kind of promote that and get us on air and like let people know about it. Huge reach. And then when I got here, I realized, hey man, this is like a really cool setup. And it's not just him on his own. Because that's the part, like, I don't know anything about it. So
you didn't know there was a guy behind the scenes,
right? I didn't know.
Making it happen for him.
I wasn't even thinking that, right? So he's like, "Well, I got a little spot down here behind," and I wasn't even thinking when he was telling me where he was at. So anyway, it was very intriguing to me, and I thought, okay, you got a partner in this that knows how to make it work, and that's important.
That's where I come
because
in.
I know nothing.
So the story for those listening, Coach Camp, Christopher Camp.
Yeah.
He owns
Sorry,
a
I
business
skipped
called
over
Motivate
that.
with Coach Camp.
That's right. Yeah.
I met him because of the Real Hernando. He was a guest. You
Yeah.
know, I'm going to try to spitfire the arc of our story.
Yeah.
Completely, immediately became fast friends.
Yeah. He's easy to get to know.
He's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so then when I started building this studio, I was like, Coach, come check it out. And he was in the room. He was probably the first visitor I ever had in this room when I barely even had a curtain hung yet.
By the way, they're very luxurious. Yeah, high end.
It's not too bad. Not too bad. And all IKEA. No.
Yeah, that's right.
And at some point I was like, Coach, you're going to have a podcast.
Right.
By this time I was helping him with some videos. I was already trying to like help him and be on his side as a producer.
Sure.
You know, here's some ideas on videos we can make. And then like now, once the studio's up and running, you're going to have a podcast.
Right.
All I have to do is put the microphone in front of your face. I'll take care of the rest. Because I knew he was so talented.
Man, he's full of energy.
So full of energy, super talented. Just can talk off the top of his head.
And it's all genuine. It's not fake. Like this,
not at all.
a lot of times you get people like you can cut camera and it's like a whole nother person.
Yeah.
And that is not that guy.
Yeah.
He is absolutely 100% that guy all the time.
He's wide open, but one of the nicest, sweetest guys you'll ever
absolutely.
meet. Genuine big heart.
Help anybody.
So we're over 100 episodes later, a couple years in.
Yeah.
And here we are, you know, and part of what's great about podcasting is it's networking, as you're going to experience as you interview more and more business owners.
It's kind of my focus here is the networking.
It's networking.
Yeah.
And for me, as the studio owner, you know, whether it was some of my podcasts like The Real Hernando, I have another one for the music community, or it was Coach for a while. 2 aldermen here in Hernando were in here recording, and all interviewing people. I had what's it called, Lieutenant Governor here.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
You know, a lot of politicians.
And the mayor of Hernando.
Mayor of Hernando, mayor of South Haven, mayor of Walls.
Yeah.
And then because of Coach, so many different people. It's all foot traffic for me.
Right.
That's foot traffic. So it became networking, also foot traffic for me. And out of, probably 250 people that have come in here to record, finally, one like yourself is like, hey, this is cool. I want to use it.
And I don't even know really what caused that.
Happened.
So I don't even know why I was even thinking that. I really didn't bounce it off too many people. I just kind of, I always wanted an opportunity to promote others. I guess you know that because of my Feed My Lambs Association. And I'm always trying to push it and sell it. And then with my friends, I'm always trying to push their businesses. And, so I guess I'm kind of a natural networker, and I always want to see others succeed. So with you, I seen the same thing. I'm like, I want to help him succeed, but I also want to help these other people succeed as well, and nonprofits and charities and things like that. And we've been hugely successful with some of the things we're doing. By the way, I think that your podcast that we did with Coach for Feed My Lambs, the Coach Camp podcast, was enormously important to get the word out. We had a lot of response. I think we had 1,600 views on YouTube. I don't know how that transcends into other podcasts, but just on the YouTube portion, you would know more of those numbers than I would.
Sure.
But
there's downloads on the audio only format.
Yeah.
But it has a funky reach. It's always more than you realize.
Yeah.
And what's also great about podcasts as a medium, in relation, or as opposed to radio and television and digital marketing, I'm not going to say it's better or worse. Every medium I just listed off has its own place. But the podcast space is unique because of the content lives in perpetuity.
It's archived.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
You can go back and access it. It's a quick link.
That's right.
Coach can be like, somehow you come up in a conversation he's having. Oh, let me text you a link real quick. Whoosh, listen to my buddy Neil and Feed the Lambs. Yeah. Boom. You can't do that with a radio ad.
It's very difficult.
Can't do that with a TV ad. Social media has a very short shelf life.
Sure.
A post
Sure.
after a day or two.
There's so much of it out there.
Yeah, so YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, this stuff is archived in strong algorithms,
right?
That can be accessed anytime.
Right.
And this goes back to sponsors.
Yeah.
When you have a sponsor that's actually going to have a real commercial in your episode, it lives forever.
Right.
Because you're always going to get new listeners.
Sure.
And those new listeners are going to go backwards.
Yeah.
And see a name. Ooh. Yeah. Someone probably discovered Coach's podcast yesterday, flipped through 2 months and found an interesting episode for themselves.
Sure.
Well, if there was to be an advertiser on that episode, there it is.
That's right. There it is. It's perpetuity.
Perpetuity. Where in radio you pay X amount a month,
for
and
so
once
many
you're
spots,
done paying, you get no more spots.
That's right.
It's gone.
Well, and obviously, this is one of the things I wanted to kind of dive into with you. This does take money to make it run and operate. So I know that you've had to do a lot of this out of your pocket for most of the time that you've been doing the studio portion of the podcasting. And I want to remind people that's listening that it does take hard dollars to do this. And so going forward, we are looking for local sponsors. It's not huge numbers. It don't have to be a lot. But, there again, it's to help you, your business, or help others, or maybe you just want to be involved in trying to promote others. That's kind of what the whole thing is. I want to get more people involved in trying to support others just like yourself. Not only do I want to do this to support all kinds of folks. I mean, I really don't have a genuine idea of exactly what we're going to do, but I do know we're not going to do politics or religion for sure.
The main mission is to support and spotlight.
It's just to spotlight people as far as their path on to a new journey, possibly a new startup, an existing one that they're just trying to get more traction, or letting people know what they're out here and what they're doing, what their services are. And also, I mean, it could be a musician is trying to find a place to find his spot. I really don't know yet. So I'm open to all kinds of ideas. Now, I've got some folks I want to get in here because they're important to me. And I want to try to get them right off the get-go to kind of get some traction for them. Sure. And again, you got to start somewhere. Yeah, and I've been selling you hardcore on them to let them know, like, you're a slick producer, and you got all these polished skills, and all that stuff. But
I'm not involved in all that Hollywood craziness. right. I'm not that kind of producer.
Yeah, and being Diddy parties and that. Yeah.
But let me thank you, because your support of me will ultimately help your mission.
Oh, absolutely.
And your vision on supporting others. Because this is all, I looked at the studio as the way to harness those stories.
Sure.
You need microphones that turn on. You need the cameras if you want to be on YouTube.
Sure.
You need this stuff. There's other ways to do things, but if you really want to look and sound good and professional.
Sure. Well, I didn't want to do it out of my house. I knew that.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't listen to that.
And that's another thing I want to say on this show is we are looking, I think the word you use is cross-pollinating other podcasters that are trying to get some traction and promote their podcast. I would be happy to have you on, and we talk about what your mission is and what you're after, and trying to get you into a new spot. And by the way, maybe if you are doing it out of your house, you're trying to get a little bit more traction out of your podcast, is to call Derrick and find out how he can help you, because I knew nothing about it. So there was no point in me even trying to start. I would just be talking to the wall at my house, probably is where I'd wind up doing. But at the same time, it's a nice sitting. It's it's a very professional feel, and I want everybody to know that you're getting something out of it beyond that. So
you're getting more than recording equipment.
Yeah.
You're getting more than editing.
Absolutely.
That's where my producer hat turns.
That's right.
Every local client I've gained because of this studio had no idea how to podcast. They had the idea, the vision, the dream, the mission behind it. It's beyond how do I hit record and edit. It's like, how do I just format it? What do I do? So that's where I come in to help format and find your messaging and
we're not pros at this. Like we all have day jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have I just want to help. That's all I want to do is just want to help others. And I know that you'll help me with my mission and what I'm trying to do. And I appreciate that. And I want to thank Coach for giving me a little bit of inspiration, because I've seen him do it. And this dude is like,
and he's amazing,
man. I mean, I just out of the gate, I'm like, well, I'm not him for sure. There's never going to be another coach, but But however, I see where the possibilities are to kind of have a mission and get the word out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
and everyone has their own voice, and it's okay. You don't want to be someone else.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I want this to be
Neil.
very organic. I want it to be very natural and not about promoting myself at all. I kind of want to make sure that I'm clear on that. This is all about others, trying to uplift them and trying to get their goals going in life. I'm so not financially now. I'm not talking about that, but as far as my life goes, I'm very rich as far as my family and my friends and my network of people I know within the community that helps me with my nonprofits. I'm so rich in that territory. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at life. So I just want to give back in that way, is to kind of make sure that others, and I thank you for helping me with that, because I don't think there's no way I'd even travel this road without you being involved. So just so you know that.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
And I hope it brings you more clients that see things like I see, you know, and you can talk to them, and hopefully they can reach out to you. I just say reach out to the studios. And do you want to give your .com?
Yeah, so it's SRP Studios LLC.com. You can follow at SRP Studios on Facebook and Instagram, and that's where you need to go for all that information.
And I think Derrick could help you a ton. Like, he's gave me a wealth of information of how to get this started. You know, we're not going to be too professional because that's just not who I am, but he will make me look good. I know that. So
I know you're always going to have a nice shirt on.
Oh yeah,
because you've already told me that's
it's just my thing. I don't
like nice shirts.
I do. I don't know. I mean, I call them nice, or just like my daily wear. You know, I don't know. That's what I do.
Meanwhile, I'm wearing an old T-shirt.
No, it's just who I am. When I go to work in my dump truck, by the way, if anybody doesn't know this, I own a dump truck business, and that's what I do. You know what I mean? So I'm driving my dump truck. I always got a gold label shirt from Dillard's on or something, you know. But they last a long time. They feel good. They fit good. That's kind of what I always feel about
it.
Quality, yeah. I mean, they last me. Some of them I've had for 10 years, man. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Who can say that? Like you. So that's the only thing I do for myself is just that, you know. And my wife drives her crazy because like it's a lot of work for her. I know that. So, but I think that before I forget too quickly, let me just say that one of the biggest sponsors for me already is Roofworks. They're a great roofing company here locally. Sorry, they do all over the Mid-South, but they're very DeSoto County oriented, and they're good friends of mine. They help me with my Feed My Lambs program. It's not mine. Let me reiterate that I support and fundraise for. It's not my program.
You're a big mouthpiece.
I'm just extremely big mouthpiece for them, and I do the majority of their fundraising, which I'm hoping to transcend that into others wanting to get involved. It's part of what this podcast is about as well, is trying to get other people involved in that as well, to where I can get some volunteers for that, and get some interest and get the word out and what it's about. So we'll talk about that later on. I'll probably have a truly dedicated podcast just for that as we get going, to have those folks back on. Miss Sandy, who we had back in November, or I guess it was August, but we released it in September, the podcast. Maybe she'd had a surgery recently, and she's just healing up. So once she gets healed up, we'll get her back in here. And Miss Billy, you know, that was Coach's high school teacher or whatever. That was crazy. I didn't even realize they knew each other, you know. And when we left here that day, she's like, he ain't changed a bit.
He's still a handful.
Yeah, and he's 51 like me, and that's a long time ago. She can remember all that. It's amazing, really. So
he's a hard person to forget.
Yeah, once you know him, you know him. You know what I mean? Yeah, when I first met him,
he's going to stick out.
He is like a sore thumb, but it's in a good way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's when I met him originally, I think his father had passed possibly, and he had me come in and do some work to where they get more cars at the house and stuff. You know, I was there just for that. And we just got talking a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, you know. And I just went through this myself with my own dad. It was pretty much about the same time. And I don't know, just a connection every once in a while I'd hear from him. You know, we're not like daily buddies, but he was so easy to get to know and friendly, you know, and I love that about him. So then I wound up being interested in some of the things he was doing. I was talking about, like, he's a hardcore workout guy. Like he does
marathons.
Oh man, yeah.
He's on a mission to run a marathon in all 50 states. And he's, I think, 33 in.
Oh, my goodness.
He just did one last week as we record this.
Yeah.
In South Carolina.
Him and his wife.
He's done Ironman.
Yeah.
He did a 50-mile Marathon in Shelby.
I couldn't even remember the mailbox.
Shelby Farms.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy. He is crazy.
It is absolutely amazing at his age. He's still doing it,
Yeah.
And it's like you said, because of his job, he was a firefighter, he had to have that kind of endurance and, all that stuff has kind of started there for him. But
now he teaches EMT.
Yeah, all that stuff out there. And
he's a professor.
He's a professor.
How about
professor,
that?
coach. Thank you again for having me. And I hope this thing continues on. We're going to give it a good college try anyway. We're going to do it for a while. So
if you're watching or listening to this, that means that we approved the trailer.
That's right. That's right. It kind of came off okay. So.
Or you might be listening to a different version of
And by the way, I didn't say this in the beginning, but my name is Neil Colley. That's something I forgot.
Yeah.
I didn't even
we're learning
myself.
as we go.
We're trying to do that. And I think with that, we're going to...
I didn't put it in the script for you, so poo-poo on me.
Yeah, I just assuming you knew me. That's all that mattered. I forgot we was being filmed technically. So, But anyway, thanks for tuning in to the Local Yokels Podcast. Join us next time as we continue to spotlight DeSoto County, inspiring local ventures and businesses and startups and nonprofits, whatever you got out there. We want to try to hear from you. Till then, keep supporting and exploring your community. Thank you, guys.